There are actually only 3 monsters on this list, well 4 if you count an honorable mention, that don't have a second awakening. See if you can guess what they are by the time we get to them. Number 11 is Gina, the Dark Mystic Witch. If you can believe it, it was actually a little bit more difficult to come up with who's at the bottom of this list than who's at the top. Gina is actually available through Secret Dungeons now thanks to an awesome update 8.3.3. It added 6 monsters into the Secret Dungeon pool, and thank God, honestly, because Gina is a really nice monster to have. She has AoE crowd control on skill 3 with dots. So obviously I'm going to tell you that that's really good for Trial of Ascension, because it is, but she also has some usability in the Steel Fortress. So speaking of the Steel Fortress, number 10 is Zinc. Zinc is still only available through summons, unfortunately. But the video isn't called the top 11 easiest to get LD Nat 3s, it's called the top 11 LD Nat 3s for new players. The reason why Zinc makes an appearance on this list at all is because of the prevalence of buff block on his kit. The last time that we saw Zinc in a video outside of the Steel Fortress was within the top 10 fake passives in Summoner's War, because he kind of has one. Every single one of his skills tries to apply buff block. Emphasis on tries. He will at least attempt it. It's not guaranteed to land. But once you have a second awakened Zinc runed up on like double will shield or double will something, or triple will, I don't know you, then you'll notice that your Steel Fortress team just starts to hum. Moving away from the Steel Fortress, Ashir is number 9. He's got a multi-hitting strip on skill 3 that can occasionally reset its cooldown time. He's got a heal with speed buff on his skill 2, and he has just a frankly insane base speed. Admittedly, Ashir's prevalence is predominantly in RTA and other PvP environments, although he admittedly has a lot more niche use in LD only accounts. Because that's where that speed buff really comes into play, because I find that LD only accounts have a hard time with turn cycling because they lack a verd. But that's not what we're talking. We're not worried about that. Ashir is the type of monster that loves to be on your fastest swift set, especially if you're trying to facilitate, say, a snipe or a cleave comp in RTA. Number 8 is Darien, the Light Vagabond, the brother to Royd, who's one of the first monsters we get in the game. Darien is admittedly just here for his passive. Darien's passive reduces incoming damage for your allies by 30%, though he takes increased damage. So you kind of got to balance that, but the reason why Darien's already made it to number 8 on the list is because you can use him on your arena defense, but I also find that he is instrumental in getting a starter R5 team up and running, especially when solo R5 is just one of the most important things in the game. If you ever find that you're plateauing in Summoner's War, spending some time in raids might just be the solution. And finding redundant effects that reduce incoming damage like this is super helpful. So between Darien and DS, you'd like to have both of them in your raids comp, just not on the same team because they don't stack. So put like one on the left, one in the middle, right? On your arena defense, it's also a little bit easier too. I like to have Darien paired with something or someone that can prevent death and also give some healing. So namely like Triana or Abellio or both. Number 7, the first monster on this list that doesn't have a second awakening. And it's Lynn, the Light Amazon. And I am so happy to be able to say that she has a secret dungeon now. For years, that wasn't the case. You know, a lot of the monsters that we talked about today are kind of like they're supporty, right? You know, oh, Zinc applies buff block, or Ashir heals, right? Lynn kills people. Lynn does big, max HP scaling damage on every single one of her skills, and that's her claim to fame. In fact, she actually recently made an appearance on the channel in the best max HP damage scalers and why it matters. So if you want to learn more about max HP damage scaling and why it matters, you should watch that video next. Bullet points is that Lynn has always been great, but she got even better with the advent of the Abyss dungeons. So now you can just keep ruining her on Rage the same way you always have and just watch her destroy the boss for you. What's so cool about her too is that her third skill stuns, but if the target is immune to stun, they take increased damage. And that skill from all the way back in the day was foreshadowing for new monsters that are still coming out now. Like Anders kind of has something similar, but instead of increased damage, his cooldown gets reduced. And that's why I love doing videos like this, because the list we're going through today makes me realize that all of these old monsters are still super relevant to this day. And again, Lynn doesn't even have a second awakening. That's a testament to quality. Moving on to number 6, it's Seren, the Dark Harpu. Seren is a newcomer to the top LD Nat 3's lists in general, because a couple of these monsters have appeared in previous lists that we've done on the channel, but Seren just got a second awakening that really made her relevant. After second awakening, she still has attack break on skill 1, strip and heal block on skill 2 now, but her skill 3 is really the reason why she made it on here. She has a team up that applies defense break. Now that may not sound crazy at first because I'm sure you've done a team up and defense break has been applied, right? We've all seen that with the Trickaroo team. However, it's actually very rare for a team up to natively apply that defense break just based on the skill that's pulling all the allies. Because like, look at Raok or Ikaru as prime examples. They pull allies that might incidentally apply defense break, but that skill that pulled them is not the thing applying it. So now you don't even have to worry about who you're pulling because Seren's got you. She's the one that's going to facilitate the damage. And it's part of the reason why she's made it into RTA snipe comps as well as places like Necro Abyss where you just need more multi-hits. Seren also has a secret dungeon. Make her fast and non-violent, and you'll have a really fun time. Though if you're doing a snipe comp, you could also just go for Swift, but I think it's very nice when she procs. Number 5 is Beladion the Light Inugami. It's available in secret dungeons. Beladion was already one of the best dogs in the game before it had a second awakening, and then it just got even better. Didn't we just make a video on Beladion? Defense break, strip, heal, attack bar gain, just an incredible monster. Beladion also has what we call a smart strip and a smart heal, meaning that it won't use skill 2 unless there's a buff to be stripped. And it also won't heal unless people need healing. Beladion just narrowly sneaks into this slot on the list because of how helpful they are to break into Giant's Abyss. Single hitting defense break becomes way more important as soon as you make it to the Abyss floors. You can rune Beladion on Swift or Violent and you'll just get very nice results either way. Number 4, Shaman the Light Griffin. Shaman also has a secret dungeon now, which is so wonderful because I think this is one of the most important damage dealers in the game for people. Just like generally, because Shaman stays important forever. Comparable to Lin here, Shaman's big claim to fame is huge max HP scaling damage on skill 2 and a passive that increases that damage when the target is a dark element unit. Shaman is obviously a staple of any dungeon that has a dark boss like Calderon or Necro, but you'll find that Shaman stays important in speed teams down the line. In fact, he's used in the popular speed team with Kyle in Dragons. It's also used in the giant speed team with Teshar. Or I suppose it could also be the Kyle team in there. Number 3 is the second monster that doesn't have a second awakening, and it's Fran, the Light Fairy Queen. Fran is just straight up given to you in the Summoner's Way questline, though she also has pieces for purchase in the Ancient Coin Shop. She has 2 sources of healing in her second skill and her third skill. She can also apply attack buff and immunity, and she can cleanse a single target on skill 2. Fran is still here, still great, and one of the most accessible units for cleanse and immunity. It's like new players, between her and Riley in the Fusion Hexagram, you have all the healing you could ever need. As a new player, you'll want to rune Fran on Swift, Speed HP, and find attack in the substats. One of the coolest parts about Fran is that her heals scale based on her attack, but she buffs attack on skill 3, and that counts. You can bring Fran pretty much anywhere, and it's just gonna work. Like, you can put her in Trial of Ascension, you can put her on an R5 comp. She has a multi-hit for Necro. She can buff your attack anywhere. I've seen people use her on free-to-play comps and RTA. Overall, great monster, 10 out of 10, even now. Actually, 9 out of 10, give her the stun back. Just kidding, that is not a representation of my actual opinion. She should not have that stun back. Number 2, you probably could have guessed it. The next unit that does not have a second awakening, Lauren the Light Cowgirl. Thanks to her passive, she tries to apply defense break and reduce attack bar every single time she hits a unit. And all of her skills multi-hit. And I know I talk about that a lot, but the decrease attack bar and defense break, that is a forbidden combo. Lauren's available through secret dungeons, and you listen to me. You farm that. Oh my God. You get yourself a Lauren right now. If you do not have one, that's your homework. You can use Lauren on speed teams, TOA, RTA, all the way up through Giants. Just maybe take her out for the Abyss floors, because that counterattack really hurts, man. Dragons, Necro, Raids. Look, we're going to be here all day. When it comes down to runing Lauren, especially for new players, which is who this video is targeted towards, you'd want to rune her on Speed HP or Speed HP Accuracy on your 2-4-6 slots. I see a lot of people rune her on attack because her type is attack. It's a little bit of a misnomer though. Lauren's definitely not a damage dealer. Later down the line, you might find yourself runing her on crit damage to help support like a particular comp. But generally speaking, she's there to facilitate damage, not deal the damage herself. Honorable mentions, and then we'll get to number 1. First of all, Thrain, who is now available in secret dungeons and has a second awakening. Thrain is the Dark Grim Reaper. He applies dots on a non-hitting skill 2, and his skill 3 can stun and cycle attack bar. Then there's Tion, the Light Garuda. Tion's one of those monsters that you're going to get early, and you'll want to save him because he becomes useful later. But But between the stun on skill 1, the turn cycling and attack buff on skill 2, and the revive on skill 3, is actually a really good unit in a surprising 3-star package. Alright, let's just get to Crow. Crow the Dark Inugami has left his mark, his brand, on Summoner's War. He's by far the best Second Awakened damage dealer for new players, because not only does he deal massive damage, but he can also increase the damage that other units deal, thanks to a defense break on skill 1 and a brand on skill 3. And thanks to the debuff scaling damage, he's kind of like a free-to-play Brandia, which I'm realizing is a really strong compliment. Crow's given to you as part of the Summoner's Way questline because of how important he is. If you want to learn more about Crow the Dark Inugami, where to use him, how to rune him, and more, you can check out just about any Abyss starter guide on the channel. But that's the list. Does my list look like yours? If not, you should put your top 11 in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.